Welcome back to another episode of the Swing Hard podcast. I'm going to call this episode the trifecta for three reasons. First, I'm here today with one of my medical professionals, somebody that's helped me a lot more recently in the last year in particular, get through an injury. Second of all, Dr. Ryan Boyd, good to have you here with us today. He's a chiropractor. And third, which is really exciting, we've known each other for a while, but Ryan's a member at Mickelson National. Ryan, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Barry.
Yeah. Ryan, let's talk a little bit about Mickelson National, your passion for golf, because I know that any spare moment that you have, you like being out on the golf course.
Yeah.
Not just Mickelson, you play around, but you certainly seem to have an affinity for the golf course. Tell us a little bit about some of your experiences there.
Yeah, probably a few more booked off hours this summer, I think, to kind of sneak out and play a few rounds. So, no, it's just such a fun track to play.
Right.
Really happy with the course and how it turned out. I'm born and raised here in Calgary.
Yeah.
So played a ton of courses throughout Calgary growing up, and it's just such a good time at Mickelson. Every single time I play, challenging, obviously. Yeah, very hilly, but it's so much fun, the track.
Yeah, like I find the golf course really fair but challenging. Off the tee, I find that you can hit driver a lot of holes for sure. Like I hit driver a lot there.
Love that.
But it's just up around these greens, the nuances of that iron you're hitting into that par four, or, do you want to play because there's a little bit of wind coming at your back? Do you want to play this to the left and let it kind of bounce onto the green? A lot of those types of things. I'm sure you've actually played way more rounds there than I have, but do you kind of feel that as well?
100%. I think the nuances in the course are really in the green undulations and slopes,
right?
And just hitting approach shots in the greens and short game around the greens as well, right? Which I think, as Phil intended, to kind of test that short game,
right?
A lot of learning going on, around the track.
Yeah, I remember a round I played last year. You'll know this hole well, number 12. Fairly lengthy par four. Fairly flat, and then comes down. There's a big kicker on the left-hand side. You can play this shot into the green a couple different ways. And I remember thinking, I was playing pretty good. Like I was pretty close to even par, and that hole just ate my lunch. And it was just kind of right in the middle of my round, right? Where I was like, didn't hit a terrible shot, but I was a little bit left of the green, hit a chip shot that just got away from me, went over the green into that greenside bunker on the right, sculled it going out of the bar. And I'm like, I ended up with triple, right? Just like with not that bad of an iron shot into this green. And that's the areas that I think become engaging, fun, entertaining with this golf course. You just got to pay attention up around these complexes.
Yeah, for sure. It'll really test your game.
Right.
A lot of learning involved in playing that course, and where you can miss, where you can't miss. Yeah. In and around those greens.
Yeah. And some scoreable holes too. Like if you hit some good shots, you can make some birdies for sure. Favorite holes for you on the golf course?
Well, first thing comes to mind, I guess, to the drivable par fours.
Yeah.
Those are so much fun.
7 and 16.
Yeah, for sure. 10, I still don't know what club to hit off 10, risk reward, but I probably have to say 17.
Yeah.
Got a bit of a soft spot in my heart because this is the only hole
Mountain
one that
views in the background.
Yeah, signature hole. Yeah, exactly. And just my only hole in one that I've ever had is on 17, so gotta choose 17. Yeah. And
I was gonna say, you've got a special affinity to 17 because of that hole in one, which is spectacular. And what a great hole! Like that can be a challenging par 3 at times too.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of a surreal experience.
Apparently, for one round, it wasn't too challenging for you though.
Yeah. Just that hole though.
Right.
Yeah, it was.
Exactly.
I was playing a match against my cousin.
Oh yeah.
And it was going poorly.
Yeah.
For both of us.
Right.
We were kind of joking that we were trying to kind of give away the match. No one really wanted to win.
Yeah.
So, 16 kind of didn't really care as much, and kind of wanted to go for it. Lost the ball in the hazard.
Yeah.
So pulled a random ball to the bag. Ended up being the Nike.
Really.
That I pulled on 16.
Wow.
And so the first question my cousin had for me was, what ball did you use on 17?
Really?
But it ended up being a Titleist. So
yeah, good for you.
Yeah.
So what was the actual, I've never had a hole in one. And I was actually just texting somebody that works with us, Leslie, yesterday about this, going, I'm due. Like, I've played a lot of golf in my life. It's time to get a hole-in-one this year. But tell us a little bit about the actual hole-in-one. What club did you hit? Was it, we hear about these different stories where, people, peer a shot. And then I've heard different situations where people like, I didn't even hit it very good. I sculled it, rolled up 50 yards and went in the hole. What was it like for you?
100%. Yeah. So many of those stories.
Yeah.
For me, I struck the club really well. It's kind of an odd thing on 17 because the green slopes from left to right.
Yep.
A lot of the times, especially with a middle pin, I'll play it to the left and just kind of allow it to kind of feed down towards the hole. But again, wasn't feeling too great about my swing in this round. So wind was coming off the right, which was a little bit odd as well. Like rarely will I play it to the right of the pin because there's so much danger to the right, right?
Yeah.
But played it off to the right, tried to allow the wind to push it in. 5-iron, the pin was at the back, 196 yards. So, and it's one of those swings where with your irons where you hit it and it's just pure, like it's
good for you.
Butter.
Yeah.
Hit it pure, hit kind of the upslope in that valley.
Right.
One bounce and kind of tracked 15 feet towards the hole and saw it drop. So
you saw it go in.
Yeah, it was like a lot of people with that hole. Get a hole-in-one with a middle pin.
Right.
So I've heard stories of people not even seeing it go in the hole. Right. But we had a bit of a celebration on the tee box there.
Yeah,
with that
good
one.
for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope, maybe I shouldn't say I'm going to jinx myself, but I'll say it anyway. I was going to say when I get a hole-in-one, I hope I see it go in, but look, if it goes in, I don't really care, right?
100% take it. Yeah.
I'll take
any
it.
way you can.
Interesting thing, and you might be aware of this, I don't know if you are for sure, but the first hole-in-one at Mickelson National ever was on hole number 7. And what's interesting about that I think that maybe I've shared this before, I can't remember, but or on the podcast, that's a par 4.
Yep.
So how many golf courses have opened, and within, it was like a few weeks, the first hole-in-one ever on a par 4 for a grand open, like the first time the golf course had opened. So it's kind of always been something that I found really unique. I'm like, that has probably not happened very often when a golf course first opens. So anyway, you're one up on me. I've never had a hole-in-one. Congratulations again on it. Good on you.
Thanks. Yeah, it'll come. It'll come.
It's going to come. Yeah. So Ryan, let's segment a little bit into, we've known each other for a number of years. I've had a back issue as it relates to golf. This goes back a long time. Injured my back pretty seriously in college. Took me probably 6-8 months to really get it feeling better again, maybe even a little bit longer. And then for like 15 years, I really didn't have any issues with that back. And then I was literally, at my place down in Montana, heavy snow, shoveling snow off the top of the hot tub. And I bent over and I literally went to my knees. Like I lost feeling in my legs and bad injury. And, I didn't play golf for 5-6 years. But I worked my way back slowly where I felt like I could play. Last year I played a lot of golf, but last August I overdid it when I was in Montana again. I was playing 18 to 36 every day, and it was a freak injury. And this, but I literally was going out late in the day after I'd been working, 4:00, bent over to pick up a water bottle. My back is out, right? I couldn't even move. My dad and my nephew, they finally texted me where are you? We're on the tee. And I'm like, guys, you need to come get me. I was just holding onto the fridge. I was afraid to even move. And in the past when I'd injured myself, I'm just going to let it rest. But this time I was I'm going to tackle this problem right. I reached out to you and just said, hey, what can we do? And I think that's kind of where this story, starts as it relates to, my process of, getting more physically fit and actually initially getting some pain relief. You tell me what you thought when I walked into your office the first time, and what you diagnosed, and a little bit more about my injury from a medical standpoint.
Yeah, it's not a pretty scene. It's not a pretty
scene. It wasn't good at all.
For yourself and for a lot of individuals,
right.
That come in that state, very inflammatory, very painful, very difficult to function.
Yeah.
So anything we can do to give you any kind of relief, get you moving a little better, kind of expedite that healing process is so important to be done as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Right. So, varying modalities we used. We adjusted you. I'm a chiropractor. I adjust.
Yep.
Muscle, manual therapist. So needling and active release and So yeah, just very inflammatory in that lower back. So whatever we can do to encourage some healing and give you some stuff to work on as well,
Right.
which you've been diligent with and feeling better now. So
no question.
Yeah.
Especially in the last several months, been working harder, my strength, my core, just all overall conditioning, which has been great. I'm a big fan of modern medicine. I would say that in the past was when I would get injured in my back or get sore, I was more apprehensive. I was just like, gosh, I just need to let this rest. But I was absolutely blown away with how quickly I progressed. Like I remember walking into your office, shuffling, hunched over, and I saw you like a few weeks after I actually injured it. For the first week, it took me 30, 40 minutes to get out of bed in the morning. Like it was, I was a lot better when I first saw you. But, credit to you for helping me through that. And, for people that have had a golf injury, that are contemplating, different types of therapies, I'd highly recommend if they're in this area, go see you, because I think it's one of your passions and something you're focused on, especially with golfers. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
100%. I have such a passion for golf.
Right.
That's all I want to talk about. That's all I want to, with all my patients, we always try to find that kind of common ground. It's just so easy with people that play. So, get along really well and talk about golf. And I just decided to make that a kind of a mainstay in my practice. So I, a bunch of years back, just started taking Titleist Performance Institute seminars, started there, reached out to kind of experts in the field in terms of golf medical treatment assessments, and just kind of built my knowledge base really where I can start to kind of focus a decent percentage of my practice on treating, assessing golfers. So,
So how many people that are active golfers do you work with now? I'm guessing it's a lot because it's been a focus for you.
Yeah, we're at Ascent Sport and Health Therapy. We're kind of positioned in that community, so we do see just a large number of community members in general. Calgary is a very active city. Yeah. But I would venture to say at least 50% of my practice now is with golfers. Wow. Just based on, I guess, word of mouth, networking through Calgary and the various clubs in Calgary, and of course, kind of social media, getting the name out there. And one of my, I guess, passions. Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know this, but I'm going to make it a bit of an assumption. I want your comment on it. There's got to be some unique level of satisfaction, I guess, for lack of a better word, of seeing somebody like me coming in, and then not exiting. I'm sure I'm going to be back again at some point in time, and probably there's some maintenance that I should be coming back more regularly for sure. But seeing that progress in that window has got to be really interesting and fun and engaging for you.
100%. Just for you as a person and a patient in general, right? And then especially for you as a golfer, just to get you back out there and enjoying what you love, right? Right. That's why I got into this profession. It's just to help people as quickly as I can and get them back to enjoying what they love. Right. So that 100%. It's very, very selfishly satisfying for me, and great for you as well. And like you said, the preventative side of things is so important as well. Maintenance care, I think, has its importance, right? But getting assessed and seeing what you can do to kind of prevent some of these incidents from occurring is important as well.
Yeah, no question about it. Yeah, and you may or may not know this, but I've sent people to you too that I've shared my experience so many different times, and it's probably something I need to share with more people, because I've become such a fan and believer of what you do. It's just, I'll never forget that probably 30-day window where I was just like, wow. I walked in one day and walked out, a month later, and it takes a bit of time, right? But not like, gosh, the 6 weeks before that, I was like not sleeping, and it's just crazy. So yeah, really, really interesting. Ryan, tell us a little bit about your golf history. How did you get into the game, and where did your passion come from?
Yeah, I think I started kind of in my mid-teens, so a little bit later in life. Yeah. Than some of my friends. Right. But yeah, I just kind of developed that passion for the sport and watched a lot of golf, played a lot of golf. I think my dad played a lot growing up as well. So I think I derived that passion from him. And so he and I started playing together, and with friends as well. And it just kind of built from there into my personal life, and getting better on a personal level. And now with me as a professional, kind of seeped its way into my career as well.
Right. Yeah. And was there ever an aha moment where you just, had this burning desire that kept coming back? Like, a lot of times, and people that golf, they recognize this, but golf can be a frustrating sport, right? Yeah. And tough one to pick up in some regards. Can be expensive at times, all the gear, the equipment, getting into the sport can be a challenge, which is one of the things that we work on. But once people get, I don't want to say hooked in the game, but for lack of a better word or way of explaining it, that's what I'd say. Was there an aha moment for you, or a certain situation or time in your life that really you gravitated towards it?
I think just when I started playing more frequently,
right?
Really, when I started being probably a Windmill member, started off at Hamptons. So myself and my cousins got a membership at Hamptons, I think 2014, 2015. And I played the most rounds of my life that year, with my cousins. So we'd always meet up after work. We'd organize weekend rounds. And I think that's just where my passion kind of grew and developed, was just playing more frequently, being around the course, being around the members. So just that kind of mentality towards the game is,
good for you. Want to go back and talk about something that we both kind of mentioned a few minutes ago, which was prevention, because I think that's a big part of golf in general. What are some of the things that you would recommend as a doctor and chiropractor for golfers to help prevent some of these common injuries on a golf course?
Yeah. So a big part of what I do in practice is, with golfers in particular, is just going through the golf medical assessment.
Yeah.
So it's just basically a functional movement screen that we run a player through. It's kind of derived from Titleist Performance Institute and their physical screen.
Right.
So just basically different tests and exercises we run through to see if we can find any kind of glaring physical limitations in the body.
Okay.
That might kind of point towards either a swing flaw affecting performance.
Right. People compensating in some way.
Exactly. Leading to more of an inconsistent swing, which killer, right? Inconsistency in the golf swing. Or perhaps just like a poor quality of motion, a restriction in mobility or stability, leading potentially towards an injury. Something kind of building up over time. I mean, golf is a very repetitive sport.
Right.
So just running through that screen and correlating kind of the physical screen with swing video.
Right.
Or I like to even just kind of work with swing coaches as well, and kind of get their take on what they're doing with their player, what kind of swing flaws they have.
Wow.
And I think it's so valuable if we can correlate physical limitation with the physical screen and the swing video.
Right.
It goes a long way for performance and injury prevention.
Well, and then you can be focusing on, if there's limitations, how do we expand that range of motion or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So mobility, stability, kind of the big physical limitations that I'll see.
Right.
I often get kind of the comment, should I stretch more?
Right.
This has happened because I didn't stretch enough.
Right.
Right. Which in some cases is true.
Right.
But in a lot of cases, I think really it's about the level of flexibility that an individual has and the control and strength throughout that flexibility.
Right.
Very important for golf. So, in terms of mobility, getting golf performance, getting to certain kind of spots in the swing,
right.
important places in the swing is very important for consistency of the swing. And then in terms of kind of injury prevention, like you said, just kind of some compensations that are happening as well that whether it be in the golf swing or in just normal daily life, they can potentially develop into an injury as well. So just kind of finding some of those
and what
things.
would be a few of the most common injuries that you come up against for golfers in particular?
I think low back is a big one, obviously.
That's me.
A lot of low back. Also a lot of shoulders that come in. Whether it be just through repetition in the golf swing, or whether it just be through any other part of the daily life.
Right.
Shoulders play a big part in golf. Back, shoulder. I think through a lot of competitive golfers as well, wrists. are a big one.
Yeah.
Just with a lot of repetition, a lot of playing, a lot of rounds played, a lot of time on the range. Those are kind of the big ones that I see.
Right.
Yeah.
And wrist I can actually see because there's a lot of impact, right? People don't think about, when you hit a divot, but you're doing that. Some of these guys hundreds of times a day practicing, especially on mats that aren't, proper mats and different things. I could see that for sure. Fortunately, I haven't had a wrist injury, but no, interesting. You've mentioned a couple of times the Titleist Professional Institute. Other people might know it as TPI. I think a lot of people have heard about it.
Yeah.
Golfers have heard about it, but I'm not really sure that a lot of golfers know what that's all about. Can you just dive a little bit and give us a little bit of a synopsis about TPI?
Sure. Yeah. I've taken level 1 and kind of gone up the medical stream as well.
Yeah.
In terms of what's involved with that, but obviously branded through Titleist, and it's kind of a 3-pronged approach. That's their kind of big thing is medical professionals, fitness professionals, and golf professionals as well. So swing coaches,
right.
Kind of all are involved with TPI. So they kind of, the theory there is they work together. It's kind of the 3-pronged approach where they kind of work together with the golfer, with the player, and just kind of see where their limitations are, whether it be with kind of grooving a motor pattern, having proper swing feels with the golf coach, whether it's actual diagnosis or an actual injury that they're dealing with that they need treatment for, they need rehabilitation for, with a medical professional, or whether it's just like a lack of strength, a lack of kind of physical fitness that the fitness professional can kind of take the reins of. I know you've been been really heavy in the gym over the winter months, so prepping for the golf season. I think that's a really, really important thing to do as well, is have that proper foundation of strength.
Yeah. So to dive into that a bit, because I think, if we go back even when I was a kid, the fitness component of lifting weights, it was not as much of a focus and emphasis, even close to what it is today. Tell us the importance of that that fitness component, lifting weights. Why is that important for golfers today?
Yeah, I think just like I said, having the solid foundation of strength is so important for the game for many different reasons. I think performance, there's so many similarities we can see with lifting in the gym and with the golf swing. Yeah. So you look at kind of your pushing, pulling movements, squatting, deadlifting, just transferring forces from the ground up through the body, pelvis, torso, arm, in through the club head, and just kind of transferring that force into the golf ball to be able to actually hit it long, you know? So just from a performance standpoint, that's really important. And from an injury prevention standpoint as well. Just developing some of that solid foundation of strength to be able to kind of dissipate the force of the golf swing as well. Looking at the spine, like developing that core strength, developing that spinal control. We're kind of moving a little bit into rehabilitation standpoint as well, but having that solid foundation of strength is really important for both performance and injury prevention.
Right on. I think that definitely provides some additional information on TPI and weights and fitness, which is great, and something I don't think a lot of golfers probably take advantage of, that they could probably see some improvements to their game for sure. Ryan, a question I was going to ask you, and you're probably not going to like to hear this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. I think so many people are so busy in life. Like, I'm the worst example of this, where I get out of my car, I'm like, I got to be in the tee in 5 minutes. I don't do a proper warm-up, which I want to dive into because I think you're going to tell me a proper warm-up is extremely important. For those of us that are just running, right, and I'm not saying this is a good thing, what are the best things we can do in 3-5 minutes to help us avoid any type of potential injuries?
Yeah, 100%. So it's not just you. Put my hand up on this one as well.
Yeah.
Guilty as well. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, just rushing to the tee, just trying to make the tee time, right?
No even swings on the range, right? Like just breakfast ball if needed, but usually I don't even like doing that. So it's just, 4 driver swings and let her rip, right?
Not ideal for performance. But there certainly is some things we can do, in under 5 minutes.
Right.
So it's just so funny. I mean, golf has such a stigma, with a warm up. basically all that's acceptable this day and age is like a static stretch.
Right.
Which actually there's a lot of studies out there that show that static stretching before performance actually decreases strength output.
Really?
So yeah. So not what you want to do before trying to hit bombs at Mickelson. But
wow.
No, there's I actually have a resistance band and dynamic warm up kind of routine you can do in under 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That I like to give to my players as well.
Okay.
And yeah, it basically just kind of increases the output of force. It kind of primes your body for the round of golf, right? It kind of uprates the neurological system, gets your body prepared for the movement that you're about to kind of go through. Golf is a very explosive sport.
Yeah. More so than I think people think, right?
100%.
Sure. Yeah.
And if you kind of compare that, it's very comparable to even like a 100-meter race.
Right.
And you'd never see a professional sprinter before a 100-meter final go out there without any form of warm-up.
No, yeah.
Right. So
Absolutely.
I think it's very valuable, very, very important for performance and injury prevention to do a quick, proper warm-up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Any other tips you'd give us golfers as it relates to fitness and prevention or things that you want to share that you think it would be important?
Yeah, I think getting screened is just really important.
Yeah,
in terms of injury prevention, just finding like
get ahead of the curve.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Right.
anything you can do to prevent. Because you can attest to this. You don't want to. Golf season is so short here in Calgary.
Right.
Right. You don't want to be on the bench.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing to sit there on the couch with an ice pack and looking out the window and the sun is shining and all your buddies are out there playing, right?
Yeah.
So anything you can do to prevent that, or if you're really into anything to do with performance, improving your game, buying like the newest best driver on the market, right? Like anything you do to invest your money to prevent injury and be able to play all season long and into latter stages of your life.
Sure.
This is a game that we should be able to play until we're on our deathbed.
Right.
Like this is, so anything you can do to improve joint health and improve mobility, stability, I think is valuable.
And I think what you just said is, it's super important. My dad's 78 now, plays 3 times a week, still keeps his fitness up really well, shoots his age or better many times a year.
That's fantastic.
And he'll play until his deathbed for sure. He'd play more if my mom would play more with him for sure. Like there's no question. So, it's one of the things I love about golf is that, you can be competitive at any age, well into your, senior years for sure. Ryan, it's been absolute pleasure. I know there's so many more things we'll talk about. I'm sure we're going to see each other out on the golf course at Mickelson and maybe beyond this summer. Thanks for being here.
I hope so. Thanks for having me, Barry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Swing Hard podcast. If you're not subscribed, please do so. We'd really appreciate that. You can find this on YouTube or any of your main streaming platforms. We'll see you guys next time.